Welcome to Inside Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson, Aurelio Martinez. Aurelio, this past weekend we had some nice fight action. Although it was only one, just Saturday night, where we had the Premier Boxing champions, Al Heyman's group.
That's right.
I'll just leave it at that. But they had some interesting fights there. But let's back up. First, on Friday, I want to mention a fight that was held up in Tucson, Arizona, with a kid that we're very well familiar with, Robert Brandt. For those of you who remember Robert, he and Louis Bird and Cam Awesome, I used to call those three the Three Amigos. They were all tight buddies, came up through USA Boxing. All of them had tremendous amateur careers. Cam right now is on his way to, he's in Colorado Springs now, preparing, for the next venture with USA Boxing. Now as a heavyweight, he's camping as a heavyweight instead of super heavyweight. But Robert Brandt, Robert is from Minnesota, from Minneapolis, and Robert, tremendous. He's undefeated right now. I think his record is like 18-0 right now. He might be 19-0, but on Friday night in Tucson, he took on DeCarlo Perez. And the fight, Lelo, you might remember, a tremendous overhand right. Right now, people are talking about it as being probably the knockout of the year. Can't dispute that at all. Robert put it on this kid. I have one issue with the whole thing.
Yep.
For those of you who saw it, Perez was in deep trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't know why his corner allowed the fight to go on. Can't really blame Robert because he just did what he's supposed to do. But this kid was hurt bad.
Well, good. I mean, I would say definitely a devastating knockout.
Yes.
Way too early to even start talking about knockout of the year. Because I mean, obviously, if someone just stays there and becomes a punching bag, if they're hurt or defenseless, and they get hit with the punch like that, they're going to go out. And so let's just say it's a devastating knockout, okay? Because but a devastating knockout doesn't necessarily make knockout of the year.
Well, like you said, this is January.
Yeah.
We got a long way to go.
Yeah.
There'll probably be something more devastating, but right now this was a devastating
Well,
knockout.
I think we're going to see a lot of nice, good technical knockouts that come from rounds of good mix-up, good fighting, good skills, and that's what I call a knockout of the year. Is when someone earns a knockout, not a devastating knockout. You have plenty of them.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it.
You got it. Well, Saturday at the Staples Center in L.A., we had the main event was Danny Garcia and Robert Guerrero. That was for the vacant WBC World Welterweight title, which was Floyd's.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the undercard, we had Sammy Vasquez, who was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but he has some ties here to Colorado. He was in the Army, and that's a big thing. He took on Aaron Martinez. Then we had Dominic Brazil, heavyweight, Olympian in 2012, who took on Amir Mansour. Mansour is 43 years old. That was for the vacant WBC Continental Americas heavyweight title. That title is now owned by Dominic Brazil. I hope he keeps that thing good and polished. It won't last too long. But I'll let you talk about it first.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm tickled because the little guy, even though these are heavyweights, the little guy was, in my description, was a little firecracker. I mean, he didn't hold back. He came in and he took it right to Dominic.
Yes, he did.
Knocking Dominic down at one point, and obviously he got caught, broke his jaw, and that's all she wrote. And then at 43 years old, he was getting to the point where he was had burned himself out. Let's just say burned himself out. So the outcome was going to be the same, but it just tickled me that he just put it on Dominic.
Well, I'll tell you what, that fight ended in, I think, the fifth round. The fight was he couldn't answer the bell for the fifth round, but for the 4 rounds that he fought, he was clearly ahead. Dominic Brazil, afterwards, jumping around and
he should jump around. He got a win because he was on the verge of not getting a win.
Well, he embarrassed himself as far as I was concerned because Mansour, like I said, 43 years old, and then one comment too. There were a lot of Twitter comments about Mansour quit on his stool. until you find out that his jaw was broken, and when you saw they had a camera close-up on him, you saw his jaw hanging low. We could see that his jaw was broken. But once again, some of these people who want to just see people just get annihilated,
wow,
you know, we all know that he was tired. He was exhausted.
That's
if it wasn't for his broken jaw,
that's boxing, and that's the
corner
fans.
probably should have thrown the towel in anyway.
I don't feel when you get hurt. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
okay.
Exactly.
But okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to Sammy Vasquez and Aaron Martinez. That was a mismatch, I thought. Well, let me say this, then I'll let you take it from here. The problem I have with Premier Boxing Champion Series right now, we can watch the fights, and we already know who's going to win. That's just the way it is. Al Heyman's protecting these guys, and we'll see how long it lasts. But you can talk about the Sammy Vasquez a little bit if you want. I know.
No, I don't want to. Let's move on. That didn't interest me. So.
Okay. You don't even want to talk about who Sammy...
Just say who won, and that's
we
it.
should be looking at. You don't even talk about that.
No, okay. No. Fight somebody.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about Robert Guerrero and Danny Garcia. I think that I'll start off with this because I know you're chomping at the bit to get at it. Well, let me just say this. Robert Guerrero has seen his better days. He still remains a tough out, you know, in the welterweight division for, I don't know if I would call him at the B level, because most of the B level guys, he could work them. But, you know, with that upper group, well, I guess that does put him at the B level, you know. He's still a tough out, but Danny Garcia, you have to remember that this was his second campaign, you know, as a full welterweight. You know, before a couple fights he had that bullshit catchweight stuff, but this was a legitimate title that he now has. That is Floyd's, and his dad, of course, was saying, you know, that he ruled out Amir Khan, he ruled out Lamont Peterson, he ruled out a couple of guys, but the bottom line is that it seems to me is that Danny Garcia feels that he's earned a shot against Keith Thurman, and I think that might happen after if Keith Thurman can survive Sean Porter. So,
well, I tell you what, the fight was built up, and I might say by the dads, not so much by the fighters.
Yeah.
Okay, but it did lead up to that, to its billing. As a matter of fact, I was impressed with Guerrero. Now, you know, I've been a very hard critic of Guerrero in the past.
No, you haven't been very hard critic. You can't stand Robert Guerrero.
Well, no. Robert Guerrero as a person is dynamite.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, you cannot ask to be friends with a better person. Okay. I was hard on him because to me, back in his previous fights, he always had a way of basically getting ready to quit on a fight, you know, finding a way out when the fight got tough. And in this fight, I'll tell you what, there was no such thing. I mean, he took it from the very, very beginning to the very end and kept pressure on. And I think the difference in this fight was Guerrero only knows how to fight one way, one style, one way. It didn't work in the first few rounds, and he had to continue to fight that way. Okay, that's all he knows. He's southpaw. His power shot, which is his left hand, wasn't connecting solid. It couldn't connect because of his stance, because of the way he couldn't change. He couldn't adapt. Where on the other side of the equation, you have Danny Guerrero. Garcia. He weathered the storm, okay, and relied on his counterpunching until Guerrero slowed down, and then he took full advantage, and his skills. So you can see the change. You can see the change in his style where he was able to adapt to an onslaught, an aggressive fighter, and then turn it up when he knew he had the advantage in the fight. And it worked out beautiful for him. Beautiful.
So you're of the opinion that Danny Garcia clearly won the fight?
I think he won the fight. I think he won the fight because if you look at boxing as a whole, you have to actually look at the style, at the technique, at the defensive skills. If you look at the whole package, there was the right person won. The right person won. I think it was closer than the judges. By all means. I think this was a close fight because I think Guerrero took the early rounds by all means, and some, you know, judges gave. If you look at the scorecards, I think the judges gave Danny the second and third. Which he didn't win the second and third. No. Guerrero was too aggressive. He was on him. You can't give a fighter a win a round for being defensive and defensive only. So So, but in the end, the right person won. Uh, uh, Danny by far is the better skilled boxer, and it was the right call.
Okay, what do you see next for Danny, real quick before we?
Well, I think Danny has to sit back. He's proven that he's a welterweight now.
Mm-hmm.
He's proven he can compete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think maybe he goes with Thurman if Thurman fights. Well, let me just say, he goes with the winner. I think he has to go with the winner of the Thurman Porter fight. Okay, and I think, and I've been real good on Thurman. He was my prospect pick a couple of years back, man. I like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Danny beats him.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh no, there's no way.
I've always said Danny is sneaky good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said that.
And a heavy-handed power hitter like Thurman,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anyone says, they rely on that power to win in fights. Okay. But what happens when you can't hit and connect with the solid power shot? What happens then?
Well, I think I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. I think you don't give enough credit to Keith Thurman for his boxing abilities. I think he boxes Danny Garcia's nose off right now.
If he tries to box Danny Garcia, he'll lose on the scorecard every round that he tries to box. Okay?
No,
because Danny's got the skills.
No, Danny doesn't. Danny doesn't. Like I said, this was his second campaign as a legitimate welterweight. And you got to see it yourself.
Yeah.
His power is not the same. I mean, he couldn't hurt Robert Guerrero. I know he cut him up, but he never hurt him.
Well, he's not going to try to knock out Thurman.
Well, he's going to have to, because Thurman's going to try to knock him out.
That makes a good fight. That makes a good fight. Okay.
All right, we'll finish with this episode, and we'll be right back with our second episode, where we'll talk about a little bit of amateur action that's controversy. I should say, not action, some amateur controversy, and we'll talk about that when we come right back. This radio, as we always do when we leave.
Keep them hands up.
Keep them up, baby.